Hi, it's Pip Mackay here, and today I wanted to talk with you about the difference between love and codependence. So, a lot of people think that they're madly in love when really they're codependent. So, what's the problem with codependency? Well, the problem with codependency is that people don't really fulfill their potential when they're in a codependent relationship. And what a loving relationship looks like is where two individuals who could live apart come together to share their life in a way that enriches each other's lives. In codependency, what you have is you have one person fathering or mothering the other person, and then the person who's being fathered or mothered is not fulfilling their potential, and the person who's becoming a surrogate parent is also not able to spend the time that they need to fulfill their potential because they're looking after somebody who really should be looking after themselves. So what happens in a loving relationship is, and I've just got a little diagram here, in a loving relationship, the adult in the man here is relating to the adult in the woman over here. And then if they want to have fun and play, then you've got the child relating to the child inside the man relating to the child inside the woman. So that's how a healthy relationship would work. And I've got my cat here who's also tremendously codependent, but it's a little bit different when it's a pet, because pets and babies, of course, they're codependent on us because they're dependent on their survival, on us feeding them. So anyway, in a codependent relationship, what happens is say it's a particular relationship with the man's playing father, and he's actually mothering the woman, and she turns into a little girl. So we see these type of codependent relationships where you'll often see the man aggressive and quite dominant, and the woman becoming very submissive and becoming a little girl. He often controls all the financial aspect, and the woman feels like she couldn't go out and get a job of her own. So that's that type of codependent relationship, and it's very common. Then when the woman goes to something like coaching or personal development and starts to grow, the man feels very threatened because his concept of who he is dependent on him being like a surrogate father figure. And that way he feels the woman depends on him, and that makes him feel secure. So that's just really becoming then an addiction. He's addicted to controlling her so that he can feel loved, and she's addicted to being controlled so that she can remain a little girl and get the fathering that she probably didn't get when she was a little girl. So often in this type of situation, we see that the woman is searching for a father figure that she didn't get when she was a child. Now, there can be another type of codependent relationship, which is this one over here. And this is where the woman mothers the man and the little boy inside the man, and the man becomes like a little boy while she becomes this mothering figure. And it's in these type of relationships, often the sex drive in the whole relationship just goes out the window, because the man in the end doesn't really want to be having sex with his mother. And the mother then becomes really over-functioning. She'll often be doing everything for the man. The man can't stand on his own 2 feet. And the man becomes more and more under-functioning and less able to contribute. So we can see that both types of codependent relationships really are a problem. And what we want to do is we want to clear the codependency so that the person can relate to the adult and an adult perspective, or if they want to have fun and enjoy themselves, they can just relate as two little kids. But there's not this sense of one person becoming the parent and the other person becoming the child, which is really unhealthy. And what it means is that then the man, if he's being a little boy, he can't fulfill his potential because he's being a little boy so that he'll get mothered. And the woman, if she's being a little girl, she can't fulfill her potential, as I said before. And then each of the people who are playing the parent, if the woman is playing the mother, she can't fulfill her potential because she doesn't have time, because she's now looking after a man as a little boy. And we hear a lot of that. Oh gosh, I feel like I don't have 2 children, I've got 3, and one of them's my husband, and all of that kind of thing. Now, if you happen to be in coaching and you find this type of relationship, then there's a couple of things that is usually going on. It's very important for the person who's playing a child to clear mum and dad as a negative influence using matrix therapies so that they can then step into their own identity as an adult. Often they remain a child because they don't want to turn into their parents. So it's really important that you clear that influence so they can step into their own identity as an adult. And then the people who are playing surrogate parent, either mother or father, they often have parental issues, and they'll often find that their parents' relationship had this in it, or there were problems with their mother or father, and that they're now playing this surrogate role to try and gain that inside of themselves somehow and gain some of the resources that they didn't get when they were younger. So this is the way that codependent relationships work. And unfortunately, we're seeing in popular literature at the moment a real glorification of the codependent relationship. So we see Bella in Twilight, where she's so dependent on Edward that when Edward's not around, she simply can't function. She becomes so depressed that she doesn't want to live anymore. And we see the negativity of that. And really, it doesn't matter whether you're on Team Edward or Team, I can't remember what the other guy's name is, the werewolf. But we really see that she's not able to have functional relationships. And that's probably because in her background, her mum and dad split. She was often separated from her father. Her father is emotionally unavailable. And she's using Edward as a surrogate father so that she can get some of the fathering that she felt that she missed out on. And that becomes addictive and very problematic. In the end, Bella basically is willing to die to be with Edward, and that's really not very healthy or functional for an adult woman. Now, the other popular media we're seeing now is 50 Shades of Grey, where we're seeing, again, this tremendously codependent relationship. And there's a lot in that book where we see the problems of Christian and all his problems where he doesn't have a mother, and Anna really becomes a surrogate mother for him. And that's why he wants to control her, because he wants to make sure that he maintains the mother who died and was taken away from him. But one of the things that 50 Shades of Grey doesn't talk about a lot, although it hints at, is the fact that Anna, just like Bella in Twilight, doesn't have a proper relationship with her father. Her father's died, and then her stepfather is also emotionally unavailable. So here she is seeking a man who's willing, even though reluctantly, to talk about his emotions, and who is going to be very dependent on her and codependent on her so that he never leaves her. And we see, again, a very unhealthy relationship. Now, in real life, like those books are fantasies, but in real life, a relationship like Christian's and Anna's is often filled with aggression and violence, and the woman is often terribly subjugated. And particularly when children come into the picture, the man is very jealous and can't cope. And we really have this kind of personality disorder, which is not romantic at all if someone's going through it. I've worked with a lot of women who have been in that type of relationship, had their life completely controlled. And once the sexual aura goes from that relationship, they really just want to escape. And when they do, they really step into their own, their careers normally flourish, and they're able to then, if they want to, find relationships which are much more healthy, that are true loving relationship based on being an adult and two adults, as Carl Gabran says, being the pillars that hold up the roof of the relationship. That's how Carl Gabran talks about it. And that's very much what an interdependent relationship is. So a codependent relationship is where both people lean on each other. They're both addicted. The person playing the parent role is addicted to being that way so that they're in control. And the person playing the child role is addicted to being the child and having a surrogate parent. And they're leaning on each other, and they can't live apart. They can't spend time away from each other, or they fall apart. Often what happens for people who go into this type of codependent relationship is they choose not to be in a relationship at all, and they stay independent because they don't want to be in that needy place. So a lot of people, when they're outside of relationships, are perfectly independent, able to look after themselves, able to function perfectly well. But the moment they get into a relationship, they suddenly find themselves needy, clingy, and they don't know what they've turned into. But really what's happening is they haven't healed one of the experiences they've got with one of their parents. So once they heal that using matrix therapies, then it's really useful to use archetypal download from the archetypal coaching to then embed the resources that they feel that they're missing. And when you do that, it's much easier for people to come out of that and have a proper, healthy relationship. So, of course, there are places for codependent relationships, such as with a child, which is what it's meant for, because a child is, as I said before, their survival is dependent on us. And also pets, which, of course, we had little Tiger there before. He's been in hospital, so I've been looking after him in that codependent way as a real parent looks after a child or a pet. But you don't want your partner to be a child or a pet. You want your partner to be your equal so that you can enhance each other's lives and move forward on a pathway that really allows you to get the most out of your life and fulfill your potential. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope that's useful. So it's Pip Mackay signing off, the creator of Matrix Therapies and Archetypal Coaching.